Father Jeffrey Grob, who was an exorcist, both a mandated exorcist and also did ad actum cases, because you know him. He's now Bishop Grob. We know that exorcists and their teams are a very small community. They all know each other, or they know of each other. And to show you how small the community of exorcists, to show you how small this community of exorcists is, even in a country as large as the U.S., Father Jeffrey Grob, now Bishop Grob, he wrote his PhD, his doctoral dissertation on the history of exorcism in 1990. I have it. I've read the whole thing. Fascinating. And he says with some sadness in his dissertation, he says, quote, "It is staggering to realize that there are no more than 17 officially appointed exorcists." So he uses the word appointed. That's his word he uses. Appointed exorcists working in the United States. This was in 1990. Kyle, it's 2024. So it's been, 1990. I guess it's been, 34 years since he wrote that? It's not, the numbers are higher, yes. I mean, but they're not so high where somebody can't track them. Can you know Father Jeffrey Grob, now Bishop Grob, and you've actually worked with him. Can you tell me about how many cases or how many exorcists there were when you started out? Because I'm sure your experience is consistent with Father Jeffrey Grob to where we got to right now.
Yeah, certainly, Jesse. So you got to go back and everything has some historical foundation or background. I began to know Father Grob. He was working in the chancery. He was a judicial vicar under Cardinal George when I first met him in 2005. And we identified approximately 25 appointed exorcists that were active in the United States at that time. Now, at that time, I was working with Monsignor John Esseff, well known in exorcism and deliverance circles. I was working with Monsignor Esseff. And so Father Grob brings up a very good point, is all of the men were known. All of the priests who were discharging these things were known. And they began the Mundelein conferences. Monsignor Esseff invited me, and during those weeks, there would be speakers. There would be, it was a conference, and there were two conferences being held essentially. Monsignor Esseff was spending a lot of time with religious and priests, instructing them, or just, giving them loose case by case instruction, but there was no formation. There was no true formation going on. I became known and knew some of these individuals, and so continued to consult on cases, but the ranks grew very, very slowly. And this was at the time that Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict, everyone was emphasizing that every diocese needed a functional exorcist. Father Grob was very quick in his thesis and continues to point out that exorcism currently is an apostolic obligation, meaning in modern speak that it is an episcopal duty. It's a bishop's duty, in the same way as there are other things that are reserved to the episcopate, including
like confirmation. Right? Yeah.
Exactly. And technically, confession is reserved to the episcopate. And so this is why the bishop grants faculties to a priest to discharge those duties within a diocese, a geographical boundary, in the name of the bishop. And exorcism is one of those activities. It's not a sacrament, it's a sacramental, but it is still canonically reserved to the local ordinary. And so Bishop Grob was then Father Grob, this was part of what he taught. He was a speaker multiple years at Mundelein when we did those conferences each and every year. Then we formed At the request of the USCCB, Monsignor Essup asked if I and Father Ripperger and Father Ermetinger would help form a curriculum for the instruction of exorcists, and that would become the Leo XIII Institute. My involvement, I am no theologian by any means, but my involvement was case administration, the jurisdictional and juridical issues associated with exorcism. And part of that is the authorization of the priest to perform the rite, to conduct the rite, to do who may do what with regard to case facilitation, development, investigation, etc. So each exorcist trained. Now, it's not to say that the Leo XIII was the only place that trained exorcists. There was still an apprentice program going. For instance, Father Gary Thomas was trained in the apprentice program. His bishop sent him to Rome, and he studied. Once he studied and came back, then he was mandated an exorcist by his bishop. So several of the bishops sent men to Rome. And so they were schooled there. There was some apprentice work. Some priests apprenticed with Monsignor Essup. But these men were all known to us. And as the ranks began to grow and we had them geographically located around the United States, when someone would request help, priest or other, we knew who to refer them to within a given area. So it's a very small group of people. And it's almost impossible for a man to develop a training, formation, and appointment as an exorcist and that not be known to the community, both then and now. The list of men that the Leo trained, these would be men who were competent to be named or appointed an exorcist by way of their training. Now, that's not to confuse, that's formation. That's not to confuse the regional conferences that are conducted in the United States. These are symposiums, these are conferences, usually 3 to 4 days maximum, but they're not formative. They are simply an information exchange, and they do not form a man nor make him eligible to be appointed as an exorcist.
Hold that thought, Kyle. We'll be right back. Jesus 911, we're talking about what is an exorcist.